from Smitty's Fly Box. I'm just going to be going over the over-under streamer pattern. It's a great little fly. I've been playing with this thing for the last few months. I've really enjoyed tying it and fishing it as well. It's a good little bunny leech style jig streamer. So we'll go ahead and get started here. I'm just going to lay down a base layer of thread along the hook shank. I'm going to start with this flat pearl braid as our underbody. I'll just take this flat pearl braid, I'm just going to tie that in right along the hook shank here. Just wrap it up towards the bead here. And then we'll just wrap this forward, just coating this underbody here with this pearl braid. Now you could use a lot of different substitutes here for the underbody. You could even use like a pearl mylar flash and change up the thread color, and something translucent with the body can help kind of make that thread color show through. So I designed this fly wanting to create a jig pattern with some deer hair on it and make it kind of a little bulkier so it would push water, move some water as you're stripping it and as it's bouncing through the water there. So I'll just take that pearl braid up to the bead and I'll tie that down, anchor it down. Okay, then we'll clean this up here. I'm just going to wrap over that. Just going to wrap back just slightly here. We're just going to create a little space where we're going to tie in our deer hair. So I'll come back maybe a bead width from the bead there. I'm going to tie in some of this red flashaboo, just kind of as that under throat of a sculpin. And just gives this fly a little bit of flash. If you ask me how much, I always say add more than the recipe suggests. This is like your cinnamon in your baking recipe, right? So just go ahead and add what you feel looks good to this. It's not going to hurt if it's a little extra there. Just adds a little bit more flash to it. I'm just going to fold these back over and tie those in as well. Then I'll trim this out. I usually just come right up off where I started that pearl braid and just trim all that straight. Whoops, missed a few there. Okay, so I'll give a nice little flash to the underbelly as well. That kind of red, that gill pack for sculpin. It'll get covered up here in just a sec too. It won't look nearly as long when we tie that deer hair in. Okay, next what I'm going to do is just having the rotary vise here is nice for this little trick here, but I'm just going to take that rabbit strip and I'm just going to push that hide onto the hook, just center that on here and just punch that through. Just have to take your hook out of your vise there for just a second to get that hide to come down and around on the hook shank. And then I'm just going to hold that rabbit, just going to kind of fold that hair down over the sides. I'm not going to worry about this excess extending out over the front. We'll trim that in a minute. And I'll just tie that down right there. I'm not going to really advance my thread forward because I want a good, easy spot where I can sneak my scissors in here and trim this out as close as I can. But tying that in with the hair will just kind of help widen out that body a little bit. And now I'll come in with my scissors and get in here as close as I can and just snip out that hide. Just try to get that as close as you can, and then we'll clean it up a little bit here with our thread. Okay, now we're ready for our deer hair. Okay, so I'll take that deer hair, I put it in the stacker, tap it on the table a few times here, pull that out, get those tips out of the hair stacker. Okay, so then I always just measure this out. So I'm just going to measure these tips just to extend again back here to where my red flash is. So I'll hold that in place there, just right across the top of the hook shank. And then you can actually just come in and you can cut these butt ends out. Just nice and square. This is where I got the name over under, because we have the rabbit strip pulled over and the deer hair goes under. So now I'll just take that thread and just think elk hair caddis here is what we're trying to achieve. You can have those butt ends just extend just right here to the end of the bead. Pull down, let that flare. Come through another time. I'm always keeping hold of that deer hair. I'm not letting go. I don't want it to spin. I just want this on the underside of the belly. And then it'll flare out like that. Okay, so that's going to be a nice bushy fly. It's meant to move water. You think about the deer hair streamers that are out there. This is a bulkier fly and you want it to move the water around. So I'm just going to bring my thread up and through these little butt ends just to help secure these up a little bit more, and just make my way to the bead. And I'll get right behind the bead here where I can whip finish. Okay, and then so it's kind of the idea here is that you're getting that deer hair on the bottom of the fly, not the top. Okay, and then from there we can go ahead and whip finish, and this fly will move some water for you as you're stripping it. So it's a fun little pattern to tie. Like I said, I've had a lot of fun with it. It's been a really good one too, and I can't wait to fish it a little bit more this spring when the big fish are out on the hunt. So give it a shot. Let us know what you think about it and how you do with it. And obviously you can doctor it up however you want. You can lessen the deer hair. You can trim up these butt ends if you'd like. You can even just trim out straight through here and just make those little gills or those fins going out the side. So lots to do with it. Great little pattern though. So give it a shot.